everyone, I'm super excited for our live stream today because we're going to be learning about low code with an open source platform, Appsmith. And I have an amazing guest, Confidence, who is going to teach us how to build an app for EdiHub, which is going to be super interesting. Confidence is DevRel for Appsmith. Confidence does lots of stuff on YouTube as well. Links in the description below, and I'll be sharing them in the chat as well. So Confidence, great to have you with us. I know you're coming all the way from Nigeria as well. So we are like across the globe. So awesome to have you here. Please give yourself an intro.
Thank you. It's nice being here. So excited for today's stream. So my name is Confident, and I am a developer advocate at Appsmith. And what my work essentially involves is creating video content to help developers using our platform to get the most out of Appsmith. So that's all about my work. But aside from work, I also love Linux. I'm a Linux fanboy. And right now, I'm running Fedora 35. Fedora 36 beta is out, so I'll be checking it out this weekend and sharing my thoughts on it. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
That sounds super exciting. Everyone, if you want to learn more about that, Confidence Twitter link is in the description below. I'm going to drop his YouTube link in the chat in a moment as well. So today we're going to look at Appsmith, and I know we have some people already here. Everyone say hi in the chat. Don't be shy. We're going to build an app together from scratch. Confidence is going to teach us. I see Preston's in the chat, who was first, I think, today, and he's been using Appsmith for a few weeks. So really interesting to know about that as well. Great to see people using it. So
that's cool. That's really cool.
Big shout out to Preston and Abhishek, also second to join. And we have Emma and Yasin as well, and Misha as well. So awesome to have you here. So tell us a bit about Appsmith, and I will probably bring up the website while you're doing that.
Okay, that sounds cool. So Appsmith is an open source low-code tool that makes it easy for you to build internal tools. Think of admin panels, think of dashboards, or generally any CRUD app can be built really quickly using Appsmith. The beauty or the power of Appsmith is that instead of coding the UI from scratch, the platform gives you a huge list of pre-built UI widgets so that all you need to do is drag and drop the widget you need, then connect to a database like MongoDB or Postgres, or if you already have an API server set up, you can also use that to pull in data into the application and display all of that data in the widget. So it's a really simple workflow. All you have to do is take care of your data. The platform takes care of your UI. It's just that simple. And today's demo would show a lot in illustrating the power of Appsmith. I should also add here that we also have lots of developer-focused features. For example, Git sync. It's a feature that makes it possible for you to connect your Appsmith applications to Git. Eddie, I know you're a big GitHub fan, so this is something that touches home to you. So you wouldn't run the risk of losing your applications because now you would be able to back up everything you do to Git and have it synced and saved there. Another really cool feature I'd like to quickly touch on is the ability to write full-page JavaScript. So while we are low-code, we actually do let you write code. So whenever you need to write some JavaScript to customize the experience of your application, you have a full-page JavaScript editor that makes it so much easier for you to go in and write code whenever you need to. And my favorite feature is keyboard navigation, because as developers, we spend a lot of time building apps, and anything that saves us time is something that we value a lot. And that's what keyboard navigation is for. So we have keyboard navigation, lots of keyboard shortcuts. I'll be showing you guys a couple of these in today's call, and I hope you like it too.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It sounds really great. I'm going through your website now and seeing a few of the different widgets. I should actually let me share. I think you have got a widgets page, which I think is super interesting. And so people everyone, if you're interested in what widgets are supported, you can see you've got charts, you've got date picker, you've got lots of interesting things. I'm just thinking of lots of project ideas now as I'm going through this. Audio recorder, video. I recognize this person over here. And I think this is great. And today we are actually going to build what should we call it? I know what it is in terms of features, but what could we call this app? It's going to be, in terms of features, we're planning to build a ticketing system so people can raise tickets, and then it can be assigned to, say, a moderator, and people then can reply. But that's the idea. We've got a broad idea, and we will take confidence as guidance and all of your opinion and thoughts. There is a link to Appsmith in the description below, and I'm also going to share Confidence's YouTube channel in the chat as well. So do go check that out after the live stream.
That's cool.
Awesome. So I see also you're at on YouTube. You're at 524 subscribers. So let's try and increase that.
Oh yeah, thanks.
No worries. Okay, so let me remove my screen, and Confidence, when you're ready, we're going to bring up your screen and let's get started. And I'm going to give a few more shout outs while you're doing that. So Emma says they've heard of Appsmith, but they haven't looked into it. I know Krish says they've used it before as well. We've got Tom here as well. Hey, Tom, how you doing? Hey, Carl, hope you're all doing okay. We're just getting started, so good timing. So Confidence, your screen, can I bring it up? Are you ready to go?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay, let's do it. The screen should be coming through now, hopefully.
Yeah, you should be able to see my screen.
Actually, we can't. Why not? It's blank.
I'm just going to redo the share.
Okay.
Yeah. So sharing my screen again.
No worries. And while we're doing that, everyone, let us know in the chat what project ideas you might have to build with something like Appsmith. Like if you had data or you could collect some data, what would you build? That's coming through now. Yes, that's working. All right, now.
Cool.
Great.
Cool. So the application we are going to be building today would be a ticketing platform for a community such as EddieHub. And this would involve getting comments from community members and moderators being able to respond to those comments and have the discussion closed out. So the application is broken into two parts. The first part would be the form that actually lets community members leave comments on the application, and that's what we are taking a look right now. So we have the form. It has a name field, it has an email field, and here you can leave a comment. And I'm just going to quickly do this. So let's say Confidence.
It's great to get a demo of what we're building, and then we'll actually build it from scratch. So everyone, stay tuned. Confidence is going to show us, including myself. We're going to learn together on how to build this.
Sure. So I have my email right there. So let's say you're doing an awesome job, all right? And I can submit this, and then we'll have this comment saved. So we have this little notification letting us know that the comment is saved. Then a moderator has a sign-up page where they can go access the dashboard. So I have a moderator email right here. So I'm just going to paste this in and log in. And here's the dashboard where you can actually view all of the submitted tickets or comments from the form we took a look at a while back. So here I'm logged in as Kira, and this is my email, kira@eddiehub.org. And by default, I can see all of the comments that have been assigned to my email. So I can view all of those comments and go leave answers to the comments. In some cases, I may want to assign the comments to someone I feel would be able to handle the question better. So all I can do is go select someone else and click on save, and that gets assigned to that individual. So for the comments we just created, this is going to be under the not assigned comments. So if I go take a look at not assigned, I should be able to view it right here. So let's see, why is this not coming up?
Oh, I did have a play with this. I hope I didn't break it.
Oh, maybe not, hopefully. So I should be able to view that comment right here. But for some reason, it's not showing up right now.
I promise I didn't change too much.
We'll take a look at it when we start building. But perfect. I should have been able to see the comments we just created, and I'll be able to click on that comment, give an answer to it, or probably assign it to someone else and click on the save button. And the moment I hit save, an email notification is sent out to the user who left that comment so that they get to know that your comment has been responded to. And then a conversation can continue from there if they have more questions, or at that point, their question can be resolved. So this is the simple application we would be building today. And I just wanted to quickly chip this in that you can actually make these dashboards look really cool. So I have a really cool looking dashboard that has been styled and themed. Appsmith also has all of that ability for you to style and theme your applications the way you see fit. So with that, I think we can get started.
Let's do it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I have seen that you can really customize it, and some of your examples on the website look really awesome. To read data from an API or to read data from database, it's really awesome. So yeah, let's get started.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. All is good.
Okay, I think we're back now.
Okay.
Are you able to hear me?
Yep, I can.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the first thing I need to do here is go create an application. Right here, I'm logged into my Appsmith account, and I have a tutorials workspace. Right here, I have a bunch of them, but we're going to be building this in the tutorials workspace. So what I need to do is go create an application and then build out the form that can be used to take community feedback. So here I have a page, and I'm going to click on build with drag and drop. We also have a feature that lets you generate a CRUD application from the database, and that was the second option to the side. So we're here now, and the first thing I need to do is connect to the database where I have all this feedback and comments stored. So for this demo, we're using Supabase. We have the Supabase database set up right here. And if you go take a look at what we have in the database, this has 3 tables in the database. We have the comment table, we have the staff table, and we also have the user table. So a user is someone who actually comes to leave a comment on the app, and the staff is a moderator who comes to answer some of these questions and assign to others. So let's go ahead to build out the form that allows users to submit a question or a comment. So let's do that. I think I can close this.
Can I interrupt you for a moment, Confidence? Is it possible to not have it in dark mode for the live stream because it's hard for people to read? And is it possible to make it bigger as well?
Sorry, I didn't get your question. Your question was, can we make this in dark mode? Can I turn this to a dark theme?
No, it's already a dark theme. Is it possible to have it into a light theme and or make it zoom in the font, make the font bigger?
Oh, you meant Supabase.
Are you on Supabase? Sorry, yes, you're right.
Oh, okay. So I'm just going to.
Or if you can just zoom in a bit for now as well.
Yeah. So I think this should be much visible. All right, so we about starting the application building process. I think I can just zoom in a bit here so that you're able to see this. And we just walked through the database setup. So what I'm going to do right now is connect to the Postgres database on Supabase, and then create a form that makes it possible for users to leave comments on the application. So let's go ahead to do this. What I need to do is go to data sources, click on the plus icon.
Can I interrupt, Confidence? Sorry. Again,
sure.
We're still seeing Supabase and it hasn't zoomed in. The screen hasn't changed for us.
Oh, wow.
So it seems like it's a bit stuck. You might have to unshare and reshare maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so let me do that.
I don't know. Was that just me? What did everyone else think in the chat? Let us know. Did anyone see Confidence change off Supabase and see it zoom in? I didn't see any of those changes. So let me know what you all saw.
Are you able to see my screen now? It should be. Yep.
Yeah, we see it, and it's you're on Appsmith now, and it's not in dark mode. And if you're able to zoom in slightly, that would help as well.
Okay, we're as zoomed in as we can right now. So probably I just go back to do a quick run through of the database structure on Supabase. So on Supabase, we have 3 tables. We have the comments table, which actually contains the comments or the question from community members. Then we also have the staff table, which is the table containing details about the staff so that they can come log in and also assign some of those comments to other staffs. And lastly, we have a user table, which is generated from the form on the comments so that we're able to know what user left the comments and send email notifications to that user when the question is resolved. So this is the structure I have right now on the database side. And now we're going to head to connect to Supabase from the Appsmith application. So what I need to do here is go to the Explorer tab, click on Data Sources. Then I'll be creating a new data source, and this is going to be a Postgres data source. And let's call this Supabase, right? So for the host address, I'm just going to paste this in. For the port, this is going to be 5432, which is the default Postgres port. The database name is Postgres. The username is Postgres, and I just need to grab my password right here. So everything looks good now. So I can go ahead to test this out. So I can test to see if the connection is valid, and it is. So I can go ahead to save this. And here we have Supabase connected in the application. So the next thing I need to do now that we have Supabase connected is go build out the form UI so that I'll be able to capture a user's name, user's email, and also the comment from the user. So I'm going to go ahead to do this now. So let's head back to the widgets tab, and I'll search for a form widget. By the way, we just released the JSON form widget, and it actually lets you create forms without having to drag and drop widgets. We made a video on it, so go check it out on our YouTube channel to learn more. So here's the form for the comments. So I'm just going to call this leave the comments. And that's the comments form. Inside of this form, I would need a couple of widgets. So I'll need an input widget. So I'm just going to drag, drop an input widget here and expand it to take up the entire space here. Then we need one more for the email. So the first we had there was for the name. We need one more for the email. So let's drag, drop this. We need one more for the actual comments. So I'm just going to place this right here and expand it all the way. And there we have the three inputs we need. So let's go into customize the UI for the form. So the first field we have here is going to be for the name. So let's scroll down to the label of the widgets. So I have the widget selected, and then I'm able to edit the properties of the widgets. So here it says input one, which is the name of the widget selected. I can also go update the name of the widget. For example, I can say name inputs, for example, and there I have the name of the widget updated. So let's go into customize this widget a bit. The only thing I think I need to change on this widget is the label. I'm just going to call this name. All right.
Sounds good.
That looks good. Next, we have the second input, which is going to be for the email. So I can do something like email inputs, and there I have the email inputs. And what I need to do is set the data type to email so that we have a little bit of validation on the inputs. And then I can go set the label to email. All right, and I think that's good. And lastly, we have the inputs for the comments. The only thing I'll need to do here is put a placeholder to say leave your comments here. So if I scroll down, there's a placeholder field right here, and I can say your comments here, and then we have the placeholder for the commentary now. All right, so I think I need to zoom out a bit, and okay, let me know if this is, I think this should be more visible.
Okay, we can see how we go on. We actually got a few questions, if it's okay.
Okay, let's take them.
So Krish asked a question. I know Krish has got class soon, so can't stay on for too long. So I'm keen to get this question in sooner. Appsmith question: what authentication do you have in Appsmith? So if you wanted to do, say you wanted to protect something, what sort of authentication do you have?
So you can use the built-in Appsmith authentication that is provided out of the box, so that when you invites people into the application, they sign in with their email ID, and you can pull all of those details to build custom auth features. We'll be seeing a little bit of this today. So you can use the default auth system, whether you're self-hosting or using Appsmith Cloud, you have that default auth system provided. But in certain cases, you might actually want to use your own auth server setup, or you may want to use something like Supabase for authentication. In those cases, you can use the REST APIs, talk to the database, authenticate the user, and have those details returned that will enable you to either show certain parts of the application based on the user's permission, or hide or log the user in, which might be what you actually want to do. So you have built-in auth, you have custom auth, and we're also working on granular access control that makes it possible for you to define widgets on the application level that you want certain members of your workspace to be able to see or to be able to access. So that's coming up shortly, and stay tuned for that.
Awesome. Sounds exciting. And people, you can get involved. This is an open source. Appsmith is completely open source. There is a link in the description below, so you can get involved in their issues, in their discussions, in their Discord, contributing code, improving documentation, all that great stuff.
Yes, you can do that. So here we have the form completed. Are you able to see my screen?
Yep. So I see you hovering over leave a comment at the moment, and your mouse has now gone to the left.
Okay, cool. So here is the form, and the form is done. What we need to do is figure out a way to create a user based on the name and email provided here. If the user already exists, we don't want to do anything. But if the user does not exist on the database, we actually want to go ahead to create the user's record and also create a comment for that user. So we need to create two database queries. So here I have my Supabase database, and I can refresh this. And here I'm able to see all of the schemas and tables in the database. So the first thing I'll be playing with is the find or create user query, and that's going to be on the user table. So I can click on the select template, and this automatically prefills the query for me. I'll need to update this a bit, but let's call this find or create user. All right, and that looks good. Next thing I need to do is do an insert. So this is going to be an insert here. So this is going to be insert into the user table. And what I want to insert is the ID and the name. So let's do ID and the name. And for those values, I can pull them from the form we built out. So for the values, this can come from the form. So I can pull that from the, for the ID, that this is going to come from the email inputs. So I can do something like email inputs.text, all right? And for the name, this can come from the first input we have on the page, which is the name inputs.text. And that's all I need to do. But because this is a find or create query, we want to make sure that if the user already exists, this query actually does not go ahead to create a duplicate user. So we can add an on conflict here. So this is going to be on conflict. And for the constraint, we're going to use the ID. If there's a user with the same email, we want to go ahead to do nothing. All right, so that's all we need to do for the find or create query. The next thing we need to do is also create a query that makes it possible for us to save comments to the database. So for that, we can scroll through the query templates here. We have the comments table here, and I can do an insert here. And for the comments, I'm just going to call this save comment. All right, this looks good. And then I can go ahead to start filling all of the details for the comments. So the first thing we need here for a comment is the ID. And the ID is going to be generated on the client. Because Appsmith allows you to write JavaScript virtually anywhere, you can actually go ahead to generate a random comment string using JavaScript. So I'm going to use the curly braces, which is the mustache syntax. So I'm just going to do double curly braces. And here I'm just going to copy paste a JavaScript syntax to create random string. So I think this was not copied properly. Okay, so I should be able to use that. And if I turn off prepared statements, you'll be able to see that we have a random string generated here for the ID. So the next thing I need to do is supply a user, and this is going to come from the email input.text. Next, we have the assigned to. I can leave this default. Next, we have the date. So we can generate a date based on the time that the user actually created the comment, and we can use the moment library to do this. So we can do moment.format, and that's going to generate a date. So let's give it the format. So let's say year, month, day. It should be dash day. All right, and that's for the date. Next thing we have here is the actual question, and lastly the answer, which would leave blank. So for the question, we can pull this from input3.text, and that's virtually all we need to do here. So we have the save comments query done, and we also have the find or create query done. Next thing we need to do is actually to link it up to the submit button, so that whenever the button is clicked on, we go ahead to create that user if the user does not already exist, and then save the comments that the user has left. So I can go on to turn off reset form on success. Then, because we're doing a couple of things, I can actually use JavaScript to run the actions in the sequence I want it to go. So let's go ahead to create a new JavaScript file. So here where it says queries/JS, I can click on the plus button and go ahead to create a new JavaScript object. So we have a template here, so I'm just going to clear this out. And I'm going to call this the save comments function. All right, so this looks good. I'm going to be using JavaScript promises here. So this is going to be a return, because I'll need to return the promise. Find create user.run. So this is going to make sure that the find or create query runs first, and then we can go ahead to call the save comments query. So this is going to be save comments.run. Then when that's done, we want to show a message to let the user know that the comment is saved. So we can do it .then and show the message using the show alert function. And the message is going to be comment saved, right? And let's give this a success tick mark. And lastly, what I need to do here is make sure we reset the widget so that the user's input does not stay on the widget after the comment is saved. So we can add a last .then here and make sure that the widget actually gets reset by using the reset widget method and giving it the widget name, which in my case is going to be form1. All right, so now we have this function done, and we need to hook it up to the submit button so that whenever the submit button is clicked on, we actually go ahead to run the function. So for the button, if I go to the onClick event, I want to make sure we execute the save comment function from the JavaScript file we created. So that's what we need to do right now. So I can go give this a test. So let's say confidence, for example. Let's say email is confidence@appsmith.com. I can say this is my comment.
So you're testing this without even deploying it. You're testing it in your kind of like almost like your editor. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, Perfect. You're right. So you're testing this out before having it deployed. All right,
See,
so I
didn't even realize that. So that's really great. So for me, I thought this was, more just the editor. So it's great that you can actually test it out from this point.
Sure. So let's go ahead to click on the submit button and hope everything works fine. So clicking on the submit button. and we have an error here. So let's go to the error. So this is actually telling us where we have the error coming from, and it's coming from the create find or create user. So let's head back to, we can actually use the debugger icon here. We can see the error is coming from the find or create query, and let's go check out why we have the error here. So it says syntax error near user at position 13. So let's scroll up a bit to find out why we have the error here. Near user.
I wonder if anyone in the chat spots it.
Conflict ID. Okay, so I'm just going to, just to be sure, copy paste some query here, and this is going to be the user's email input. So this is going to be email input, and this is going to be the name input, and that should fix whatever error we have. So I think this looks good.
Was that because this was done before we renamed the fields?
No.
Okay.
I think I made a typo somewhere, and that might be quite difficult to spot. So let's see if this works. And now I can go ahead to resubmit the form. So let's resubmit the form. And here we have the comments saved. So
nice.
If we go check the database, we'll be able to see the comments in the database. So that's for the first part of the application. And this is the form you would make public. So I can make this public, for example. Let me copy paste the link to the chat so that you guys can leave comments, and then we'll view all of the comments as we go ahead to build out the application.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I've got some questions from the chat as well. So
right.
Let me grab this link and share it in the chat so people can start raising some comments on the app. So thanks all for raising some of these comments. So let me bring up some of the questions. So we have a question from Carl who asks, what's the target group of Appsmith? So who are you targeting? Is it developers, non-developers?
So developers who need to build internal tools quickly. Because if you've ever tried to build an admin dashboard using React, for example, or Vue.js, that's really difficult because you have to take care of the front end. You have to make sure it's connected to a data source. Then you have to go take care of your database or API server that actually connects to your database. It's a lot of work to do, and that can take weeks or months to have an app complete. So Appsmith makes it easy for developers to build these internal tools, these dashboards and admin panels or CRUD apps really quickly, because you actually have all of the UI components taken care of by the platform. So what you need to do as a developer is choose whatever widgets you need, connect to a data source or an API server, and write JavaScript to customize the experience of the application like we just did. So Appsmith is built for developers to make their workflow so much easier.
Awesome. I think you answered the second question from Carl, which is, well, it's a low-code platform, but people need to write database queries. So yes, it's to help developers rapidly prototype. I think internal tools is what you say on your website, but it could be used for anything. I think dashboards, even public dashboards would be good. I think that's quite an interesting idea. I can't wait to collect some data from the Eddy Hub activity so we can see some of the stats, yeah, and also the comments from today. And then another question we have from Sushmita. We're going to build, for anyone who's joined, we're going to build a form, as you've seen. So it's going to capture all your comments. Hopefully you're all logging some comments and some thoughts. And then next, after this, we're going to do the admin side so people can assign the comments or the tickets to different admin people, and then they can reply as well. So yes, cool. I think that's all the questions. And Ramon, hopefully I pronounced your name right, says, we'd like to develop an app to inform clients that their accounts receivable reading an ERM using SQL Server. Yeah, so there's lots of database connections possible. So it does sound good.
Yes, that can be done easily with Appsmith. So I just shared an updated link to the form because I had to rename the application. So that should be coming in YouTube comments right now so that you can go visit the app and leave a comment on the form.
Just reshared that in the chats. Everyone go leave a hello or something for us, and we'll see this now and shortly.
Cool. So we have the first part of the application done, and here community members are able to leave comments on the application. Now, the second part of the application will be a separate app that will be used to moderate all of these comments. So we can call this the admin dashboard. All right. And for the admin dashboard, we'll also be building with drag and drop and not generate from table. So let's go ahead to build out the UI for the admin dashboard. The first thing we need to do here is create a form that allows moderators enter their email and then have a customized app experience whenever they log in using the form. So this is not a complete auth solution. We actually have lots of tutorials and videos on building custom authentication on Appsmith. If you're interested in that, go check out our YouTube channel for those videos and also the documentation. But this is going to be a super simple form that aims to customize the experience of whatever moderator is using the dashboard at the time. So let's go ahead to build out the form. So I'm going to drop the form right here. Okay, let's expand this a bit. All right, so we have the form right here. And for this form, we would need just one input widget. So this is going to be the input widget. I'm going to place it right here. And for the input widget, we're going to set the type to email and give it a label of email. All right, so that's basically all we need to do. Probably I should also just call this staff login. Right, so it's clear this is just for staffs. There we have a nice form quickly built out. Now, what we want to do is create a query to actually try to find the staff from the database. And if that staff actually exists, we can take that information, save it to the local store, and then continue to the dashboard page where you can actually view all of the comments and filters and the table you saw earlier. So let's go ahead to create a new query from the Supabase query. So I'm just going to head to data sources, click on plus, go to the active data source because we already have Supabase configured, and I can go ahead to create a new query from here. So this is going to be a find staff query. All right. And this is going to be a select query. So I can use the select template. And this is going to be select star from staff. And there's going to be where email, well, ID rather, is equals to the ID supplied from the form. So we can actually pull out that data by typing input1.text. So I do not need the order by, and I can take this out. And I think this looks good. So we have this done. Now, I would like to quickly show you something, because if I try to go log in right now, so let's grab an email, for example, and I head back to the query we were building out, so which is the find staff query. Right now, we have prepared statements turned on, as you can see from the switch here. And this makes it easy for you to prevent SQL injections as you go ahead to build out your applications. So if you have this turned on, which is always turned on by default, Appsmith will sanitize whatever inputs you have to the variables on the query and make sure that they are secure. As you can see, the variable I have here has been parameterized, and it is going to be properly escaped before running on the database. But if I go to underscore, for example, you can actually see that I have the email from the form being pulled to the query right here. But let's turn this on so that we have protection against SQL injection. So that's for the find staff query. Now we can actually go build the login process. And I'm just going to use keyboard shortcuts for this. We'll be creating a JavaScript file. So this is going to be Command-Shift+. And I can go create a new JavaScript file. So let's call this file, for example, utils. All right. And for this, we'll be using async await. So the previous JavaScript file, we use promises. Here, we can use async await. And let's call this find staff. All right, so what I'm going to do right here is write a JavaScript logic that checks if the find staff query actually returns a staff, and then save that stuff to the local store. Else, it just shows a message saying that that's an invalid email ID. So let's actually go build this out. So this is going to be const response, and this is going to be await find staff dot run, right? And we can then do the if here. So we can do if res dot length. That means if a staff was actually found, what we can do is go ahead to save that staff to the store. So we can do await store value, which is the same as using the local storage API. The key is going to be the staff key. And for the value, this is going to be res index 0, which will be the staff. Then we can train a message like welcome to the application. But in this case, we're just going to navigate to the dashboard page. And I'm just going to quickly create a new page. So here we have the login page. So I'm just going to edit this to say login page. And I'm going to create a new page, which will be the dashboard page. So let's edit this to the dashboard page. All right, so that looks good. Heading back to the file, I'm using Command P, and I can quickly jump to the JavaScript file. Now, when the user is saved to the store as done in line 5, after that's done, we can go ahead to navigate to the dashboard page, and the user is going to be able to see the application. So this is going to be navigate to dashboard, right? Right, so that's for the case where we actually find the user. If there's no user or no staff with that email, so what we can do here is have an else. There's no staff. I can train a message. So let's do show alert, and we can say invalid ID, and this is going to be error. And that's basically all we need to do for the login flow. So this is the JS file that handles the logic for login. So let's actually hook it up to the button right here on the form. So for this button, I'm going to call this the login button. And when this is clicked on, we want to go ahead to execute that function. So that's the utils file and the find staff JavaScript function. Now we can actually go test this out. So let me try using an invalid email. Something I know is not going to be in the database. So I'm just going to try using an invalid email, for example. So let's paste this in. So let's say Kira, I'm just going to add multiple A's here, and let's try to log in. And you can see we have the message saying this is an invalid email ID. But the moment I actually use a valid email ID, so this is going to log me in and navigate me to the dashboard page, which is empty right now. So we have the login process going smoothly. Now we can actually get to building the dashboard. Do we have any comments from the chat?
We do. Some people use the first link. I encourage them to use the second link. And I've added a comment myself to check the second link's all working fine. Let me scroll up. So let's see. So we have the user S, and their question is it hard to make Appsmith responsive like Buddy Base? I don't know what Buddy Base is.
Okay, so if I understand the question, that's making widgets responsive. Well, that's not supported right now because it's something we're still working on. If you can see my screen right now, as a workaround or a fallback right now, we actually let you build for specific viewports. So you have the fluid viewports, which would expand based on the device that it is being viewed on. So you have the app response to the device width using the fluid viewport. Then you have the desktop viewport, which is actually built for desktops and computers. Then you have the tablet viewport, you have the small tablet viewport, and you have the mobile device viewport. So while we do not support responsive canvas or responsive widgets right now, you can actually build for specific viewports. And I think this is a good workaround till when we get to releasing that specific feature.
Awesome. So you've got a temporary solution now, which is good, and then in the future that responsive widgets will come. So that's
Yeah.
great. And
Yeah.
the same person asked another question. Again, this is probably for later on, but I don't know what WooCommerce is, but they're looking for. Is there a video? Do you have any content on Appsmith with WooCommerce? I haven't heard of WooCommerce before.
Me too. This will be my first time hearing of
Okay.
WooCommerce. So what I'm going to do is go check it out, and I'll see if we can put out a video. Thank you for making a video request right now.
I love video requests. It's great to see what people are working on. And the same person again asked another question, which is quite interesting, actually. I think I know the answer to this, but I want to ask it anyway, just to make sure. Is it compatible with Prisma? My understanding is Appsmith takes care of that anyway, so you don't actually even need to worry about Prisma. Appsmith takes care of it for us. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. And if you do already have a workflow that uses Prisma for your server, you can actually connect via GraphQL or REST APIs to talk to your already existing Prisma setup and pull in all of that data into Appsmith. So in cases where we already have that set up, you don't need to discard that because other applications might actually rely on that infrastructure. So you can just build Appsmith on top of Prisma if you already have that existing.
Nice. Shushmita says they've got an error when doing the form. Shushmita, I just tested it. It seems okay for me. I am not sure. Have a look and see if you can figure out what it is. For me, it works fine to just test it. Check you're using the latest link of it. I don't know if we've got logs in our end to see why it's you're getting an error.
All right. So if we have no more questions, I think we can start building the dashboard page.
Yes, let's do it. This is I think the favorite part for me.
Yes, sure. So for the dashboard page, we want to be able to view comments, filter them, and leave answers and comments. So what we need to do is pull all of the already existing comments data into the application, set up pagination, set up filters, and a flow that lets us update those comments. So to do that, the first query I'll be writing would be want to grab comments from the database, and I can use the query template approach. So I have the data source, I have Superbase, here I have comments, and I'm just going to use the select template. So this is going to prefill the query. Let's call this get comments. So let's call this get comments, and all I have to do is run this. And you can see we have a list of 10 comments coming back from the database because we set a limit of 10. So let's go into display this comment in a table. So what I need to do is head to widgets, search for a table widget, bring it to the canvas. And let's make sure this table is properly sized. All right, that looks good. So to link the data coming from the get comments query, which is the PostgreSDB query, what I need to do is write a binding here that links the data from the get comments query to the table widgets. And you already see this autocomplete telling me what to do. So by default, the autocomplete figures out that you're trying to bind data from the query you just created, and all you just need to do is click on it, and it automatically completes it. So what you need to do is type the name of the query and do a .data, and you're done. You can see all of the comments showing up on the table right now. That was really easy to do. So
Nice.
Let's go into style this table a bit because we only want the ID user assigned to and date visible. So I can hide off the question and also the answer. And here we have a much neater table. So let's resize this. All right. So let's resize this a bit.
That's great. You made it look so easy. Just, don't want that field. Click. Don't want that one. Click it off. Resize. Yeah, really nice and straightforward.
Yes. So something else we want to do is to be able to set up pagination for the table, because right now we're just only able to view 10 records coming from the table, and it's going to be the same 10 records every time the application loads up. So what we want to do is edit the query a bit so that we are able to set up some pagination. So let's head back to the query. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Command P and search for the get comments query. All right, so we're back here. What I want to do here is make some mods to the query. First, I want to order by the dates so that we have a consistent ordering. So let's do order by dates, right? So if I run this, we are still going to get a similar response. Next thing I want to do is create the logic for paginating the table. And to do this, I'll need to read the properties from the table widget, such as the page size, the page number, and all of that information. So let's go ahead to start doing this. First is the limit is going to be the actual size of the table. So we can do something like table1.page size, and I'm just going to turn off prepared statements so that we see the query right now. This has evaluated to 10. Next, I'm going to add an offset. So this is going to be an offset, right? And for the offset, we need to write JavaScript to calculate the page offset based on the current page and based on the page size and the current page. So this is going to be some JavaScript. So let's get the table's page number. So this is table1.page number. All right, this is the page number, and we're going to do -1, then multiply it by the table's page size. So this is table1.page size. All right, and we have an offset calculated to 0. So here we have pagination set up, but we also need to enable it on the table widget. So let's go in to do that. So taking a look at the properties of the table widget, we have an option to turn on server-side pagination. So I'm going to turn this on. Nice. Then I need to scroll down a bit and make sure that for the on-page change events, I'm actually executing the get comments query, which would read the new page and all of that information and have the page change whenever I click on the page change buttons here. So let's just go to hide the search and the filter icons and the download icon so that we have a clean table here. So whenever I go to change a page, so I'm just going to try changing the page, you can see that the page is refreshed and the information about the specific page we're on is actually selected. That's because we've configured the offset in the get comments query, as you can see here. So you can see we have an offset by 20, we have a limit there evaluates to 10, and this is the query that gets sent up whenever we change a page. So there we have the table pagination done, and we can actually page through the table without pulling out all of the records we have on the table into the application. So I think this is a really nice and performance approach.
Yeah, it definitely keeps it really, really efficient. I really like that.
All right, so let's go ahead to build the filters as you saw in the application. Do I still have that open? Okay, I think I closed that. That makes it possible for you to filter based on dates, based on assigned to, and have the task or the comments on the table be according to the filters you have specified. So to do that, we actually need to bring in some widgets. So this is going to be a select widget. So we need select widget for the assigned to field. All right, so I'm just going to reduce this a bit. All right, so that's for the assigned to field. Then we need, okay, let's just actually go ahead to finish building this up before going to the next widget. So the select widget actually requires an array of label value, and all of these values will be used to build out the options shown in the select widget. So for example, we have blue, green, and red right here. And you can see we have all of those options here. So to build a filter to filter tasks based on staffs that have been assigned to, we actually need to pull that information from the database so that we don't end up with static data on the application. So what if we have a new staff join the company and that staff's record is updated on the database? We would want that to automatically show up here on the list without having to come update the application. So let's write a query that makes it possible to pull all of the staff information from the database, and then we can create an array of objects which would have label value and use that to build the actual select filter. So let's head back to the Superbase database, and I'm going to create a new query. So this is going to be, let's call this get staffs, and this is going to be select. So we're going to be selecting from the staff table, and we would have we actually don't want to have a limit so that we actually pull all of the staff information from the database. So we can see we have 11 records coming out right now, and we can take this information to build out the select widget. So let's go to do that. Here I have the select widget, and what I want to do is write JavaScript the same way we did for the table widget to bring the data into the table widget. So because I need this data to be in a form of label value, I'll need to map over this data and return a structure that matches the label value structure required by the select widget. So let's do that. So this is JS. So this is going to come from getStaffs.data, but I want to map over this. So let's say .map. All right. And I'm going to make sure that we return an object that has a label, which will be the staff's ID or the email ID, and a value, which would also be the staff's ID. And taking a look at what we have here, I'm just going to take away the default value. Taking a look at the form or the select widget. I think something's wrong.
Invalid entry at 0, missing
required key. Oh, I have a typo here. This should be label.
We didn't notice. That's really bad of us. We're supposed to be pair programming with you, and we didn't notice that. So I think that's all on us. So apologies, Confidence. That's my fault and everyone else's fault who's watching.
No worries.
But yeah, good spot.
Yeah. So I had a typo on the label. Now, if I head back to the select widgets, here I can see all of the emails, and all of this data is actually coming from the database. We don't have anything statically typed here. So I'm just going to write a bit more JavaScript so that we have a default state for all and not assigned to. So this is going to be a static array. This is the only place I'll be doing static arrays. The static array is going to have one element that has a label of all. And for its value, I'm just going to give this the wildcard character. Then we also have a new entry for not assigned. So let's give this a label for none, and give it a value also of empty string. And then we can do a dot concat with the array we're actually generating. Seems I have, okay, so typo here. Seems I have more typos.
We're not spotting it. It's bad of us. Let's have a look.
Okay, so this should have a value.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's good. Now we can do a dot concat and join the array we are generating. So if we actually go take a look at this, you should see now that we have all, we have none, and then we have all of the stuff coming from the database. So we have these two default states, which would always be static. Then we have all of the staff email being pulled from the database. And as we already have a staff logged in, we can have the default value set to the staff we used to log in. So this is going to come from appsmith.store.staff, and then I can actually read out the ID, as you can see here. So I have the ID, I have the name, I have the role, saved in the store. Now I can actually go read this out. So this is going to be .id. All right, so we should have that staff selected by default. So let's see. I'm just going to create the options for the select, and you can see Kira, which was the staff I used to log in, is actually selected by default. So that looks good. Now I can go add a placeholder to, a label to the select widget. So let's say assigned to. All All right, and that's the assigned to field. Next, we need filters for the dates, which is the from dates and the to dates. So let's go ahead to grab some date pickers. So we have a date picker here. Right, so this is a date picker. I'm just going to change the format of the dates to be the same with what we use for creating dates in the previous form. So this is year, year, month, month, day, day. All right, that's what we need to do here. And I can copy paste this and use it as the second date picker we need for the other fields. So let's bring in some text. Right, so we have the text here. And this is going to be the from label. So let's call this from. Okay, so I need to expand that a bit. So that's from. And we need one more text for the to field. So let's do that. So one text widget here. And this is going to be to.
So it's very clever. So as you're pushing it over, the rest are also moving over as well. So that's
oh yeah,
really nice. So it's like kind of like I don't know what the word is, like magic elasticness.
Oh yes, yes. I think this actually makes it easier to drop widgets into the canvas because you don't have to start moving everything aside just to be able to place one widget. So
exactly,
you can easily use one to control the others. All right,
we are actually having some pair programming help. So Mikey, thank you so much.
Okay.
From is spelled incorrectly. I didn't notice that. I'm the
yes,
good spot.
All right,
thank you, Mikey. So, 10 points to you.
Thank you so much. So that's from, and here we have to, and this looks good. So we have all of the filters built out right now. The only problem is that none of them works because if I go change a filter to someone else, for example, nothing happens in the application. So what we need to do is head back to the get comments query and edit the query to be able to take advantage of all of the filters we just built. So in order for us to do that, we'll need to add some filters in the SQL query. All right, so I'm going to jump back to the query. This is going to be the get comments query. All right, and what I'm going to do here is add a where filter. So this is a where filter. The where assigned to is like the user selected or the email ID selected from the select dropdown. So this is going to be select one.selected option value, right? And you can see here we have marble selected, and this evaluates the marble as you can see from the floating pane we have right here. Now, we also need to go add a filter for the dates, and we can do that by using a between clause. So we can say, and dates between the first date, which is coming from date picker 1. So this is date picker 1 dot formatted dates. Right? So we also need to add one more and lastly, this will be the second date picker. So this is date picker 1.copy because we copied it over, and we can also do a formatted date. All right, and this looks good. So we have the query here, and we can go test this out. So I'm just going to run this, and we should just still have records. We actually have no records to show right now because we are having a date range starting from today and also ending at today. So let's go fix that, and let's head back to set the default date to, let's say, the year 2000 and select the dates. Now, if I head back to the get comments query and run this, we should actually have some records coming back, which we can see right now. So we have all of the filters working. Now let's hook it up to the UI so that whenever you go select something or select the dates, you actually have the table updated with the data coming from the get comments query. So for the select widget, what I'm going to do is scroll down to the property for the on option change. and execute the get comments query. I'm also going to do the same for the date picker. So on date selected, I'm going to go ahead to execute the get comments query. And same also goes for the last date picker. On selected dates, I'm going to execute the get comments query. So each time you go to select someone from the assigned to, for example, you can see we have that person shown up here in the assigned to field. And if we go select a new date range, we're just going to be only able to see records within the date range specified here. So we actually have the filters built out right now, and I think this is cool.
That is very, very cool. It's yeah, it's quite interesting how you can filter that data. So if it's coming from an API or it's coming from a database, Mongo, Postgres, whatever you support. I saw you had Elasticsearch support, which is amazing at doing aggregation. So that's given me lots of ideas. So I really like how Elasticsearch, you can say over this date range, just give me the average over per hour or per day and what have you. So, and then using your graph widgets and dashboard widgets to display it, you get kind of two powerful tools working together. So yeah, I have lots of ideas. This is what you might hear me typing. I am making notes of project ideas that I think we can build. And with Appsmith being open source, hopefully if we get time at the end, I'm really keen to dig more into maybe the GitHub repo. We can bring it up on screen and maybe just ask, not into the code, but just ask about kind of the history of the open source side and how you manage all that sort of stuff.
All right, cool. Do we have questions now?
We do. Thanks for pausing. I didn't want to interrupt too much. I am conscious of time. Thank you everyone for taking the poll as well. It's quite interesting. So one question we have from Mikey. Let me bring it up on the screen. Can you build a full application like the current example and then export raw code to a different platform, if that makes sense? So I'm going to answer the first part and then I'll let Confidence answer it probably properly. So my understanding is you can export it to GitHub, which was mentioned right at the beginning, which I don't think you're around for, Mikey. And for me, that's great. So you can have a kind of a backup on GitHub, as it were, if you want to call it a backup or a copy or a clone, allow other people to fork it and so forth. However, I don't think you can move it to another platform. I think it's going to be specific, I can't even say the word, to Appsmith rather than export to something else. But Confidence, please jump in and probably give a better answer than me.
Oh, you actually did a good job answering the question.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you can actually back up your apps through Git. That's an exporting feature. Another cool use case for exporting applications is, say, for example, you're trying out the product and you end up building a really nice app on the cloud version. And then you decide you want to self-host Appsmith. So instead of rebuilding the entire application on your private Appsmith instance, you can actually export the app over to the self-hosted instance and have the app also there. So that's a couple of cool use cases for using the app export feature.
That's a really good example. And I probably predict people doing it the other way. People saying, right, let me try this out. Let me host it myself. Let me save a bit of money. And then they have to realize they have to do the updates. And I've done it with back in the day with, family websites where I say, I'm going to host all these WordPresses on my own server. And then after a while, I must do updates. Forget it. I'm going to pay the $3 a month per site, whatever it is. I just want to, export it. Like you said, just get them to host it on the cloud and don't have the time to do all the updates, security patches, all the rest. So yeah, I think most people will go to the cloud version later on.
Yeah, that would also work too. So if we don't have more questions, I think we can build the last part of the app, which is viewing the questions and also answering the questions.
Let's do it. How are you doing? If you need a break, let us know. You've been going strong for an hour and 15 minutes. So
I'm good.
I'm
good. Yes, I'm good.
Awesome.
So let's actually display the question by users. For example, if I go to select none, I should be able to see all of the comments you guys have dropped in the chat. This is every comment that has been dropped by everyone in the chat. So I can see the user emails and I can see the dates added, and they are not assigned to anyone right now. So we can actually go view all of the comments you guys have left and provide answers to some of those comments. So let's do that. I need a text widget for this. So this is a text widget. Right, so I'm just going to place this right here. So let's call these comments. All right. And let's bring one more here for the actual comments that was left. So to pull the comments from the record selected on the table, you also still need to write JavaScript, and that's actually quite easy because you can do something like table1 dot selected row dot question. All right, so we have table1 dot selected row dot question, and you can see the first comment I left, which says you're awesome. So let's go ahead to make this scrollable, and that looks nice. And we can also style this a bit. So I'm just going to make it gray, give it a gray border color, and give this a 10 pixel padding. So here we can see the comments selected. Now, if I go select a different comment by someone else, Sam says hello, and I can see Sam's comments here. We also have other comments
That's
from
mine.
Eddie. Yeah,
Yes.
this is a test message. So we're able to view all of those comments. So I'm going to leave the comments from Eddie. Let's go ahead to answer this comment. But before that, we need a way to assign this comment to someone else. So let's bring in a select widget. So this is select widget. I'm just going to drop this here. Let's also go bring in a text widget. So I'm just going to place this right here. All right, so for this text, this is going to be assigned to, right? And for the select widget, we're going to be doing exactly what we did here. So I'm, in fact, just going to copy paste the JavaScript we wrote here. All right, so let's go paste this here. Okay, so we need to put this in double curly braces for it to work. And then we have all the assignees. For the default value, this will be the person selected, the person assigned to the comments from the get-go. So let's do table1 dot selected row dot staff, or dot assigned to rather. So this is dot assigned to, and here we have no one assigned to, so we have this blank. Then we need one more text widget for the actual answer to the comments. So this is going to be answer. Okay, so that's answer. And lastly, we need an input widget. So this is an input widget right here. All right, and I'm just going to expand this, and there we have everything looking good. So here we have the form that makes it possible to click on the comments, view the comments, assign it to someone else if we wish, and also leave an answer to the selected comments. Now, the last thing we need to do is write a query that actually saves all of the changes we make. Because if I leave an answer here saying, how are you doing, for example, how are you doing? This is not going to get saved because we actually don't have a workflow to save this. So let's write a query that makes it possible to save the comments. And I'm just going to copy paste that query right now into a super base query. So let's call this save answer.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to answer some of these questions, but confidence I might need your help. So Catalog asks, is there an internal database that is possible to use, or is it always an external one? I know you support Elasticsearch, as we mentioned, Mongo, Postgres, etc. So many sources, but do they have to host their own one or go to like a Superbase or Mongo Atlas service? You don't have any of these yourself, is that correct?
So Appsmith out of the box does not come with a database, and that's for security reasons. As a platform, we don't want to hold any of your data. So put your data in the place you feel would be the most secure, and only use Appsmith for the UI. So you can have a really secure database externally and then use Appsmith for the UI. But I can also add that Appsmith has an internal MongoDB that is used to save your applications. So while we do not recommend you actually build applications using that database, it's also possible to do that using the internal MongoDB in your Appsmith instances. But the best, yeah, you get the best performance pulling your data in from an external data source.
It makes sense. You know, Appsmith is focusing on what it focuses on. Mongo Atlas or whatever is focusing on what they're best at as well. And I think that's, you know, great advice.
Yeah, yeah. So here we have the save answer query, and we need a button to trigger the save workflow. So I'm just going to put a button right here. So let's put the button to save the comments. So let's go this save comments, and we're almost good to go. I'm just going to quickly show you how to send out email notifications whenever a comment is saved.
Yeah, nice.
Because we have the comments, the form built out, we have the query built out. Now let's actually send an email to the user whenever the comment is answered. So to do that, what we can do is use the SMTP integration. So if I go to data sources, for example, so if I go to data sources, I would be able to see the SMTP integration. So let's call this Gmail because I'm using Gmail as a provider. You can also use Twilio, SendGrid, Postmark, whatever email service you already have set up would work for this. So for the host address, this is smtp@gmail.com. For the port, this is 587. For my email, this is appsmith@gmail.com. So I need to go to the authentication to put my username, which is the Appsmith SMTP, and also my password. All right, so I can click on test, and this is good. So I can go ahead to save this, and let's create a query to send email notification. So let's say send notification, right? And the from email would be my SMTP email address by default. So this is the SMTP email address. Then the to email, this will be the user selected from the table. So this is going to be table1.selected row.user. And you can see we actually have no user selected. So let's go select a record that has a user, for example. Now heading back to the queries, the send notification query, I should be able to see a user here. All right, so we have Eddie showing up right here. Last thing we need to do is configure a subject for the email and also a body. The SMTP integration supports HTML, so you can actually style things a bit. So I'm just going to copy paste a template, an HTML template for sending out emails. And when this is sent out, you'd see the style we have on this template. So here is a template, and we are good to go. So last thing we need to do is create the save JavaScript function that would actually save the comments and send notification to the user. All of that stuff is going to be done using JavaScript. So let's do some JavaScript. I'm going to call this an update function. All right. So let's call this file utils. Right. This is going to be the save, rather. This is going to be the save function. Let's say save answer. All right. And when this is clicked on, we want to run the save answer query. So this is going to be save answer.run. And then we can go ahead to send the notification. So let's say send notification.run. Right. And the last thing we can do here is let the staff know that the answer is saved to the database. So we can do it .then, and here do a show alert and say answer saved. All right. So
success.
Yes, this is.
I remember this time. Yes. See, I'm helping. That's my contribution for this live stream.
That's nice. That's nice of you. So here, when we have the save button clicked, we just want to go run the JavaScript function. So this is execute the JavaScript function and the save answer function. And we can test this out right now. So we have this comment from Eddie selected. He says this is a test message, and I'm going to say this is a test answer. Right, let's save this. and we have the answer saved and an email notification sent to you. So is this your email address? Is this a live email address?
I got the email. Let me add my screen, and
Okay.
we can actually show people that I actually got the email. It came through super quick.
Okay, that's
So let's
cool.
have a look. That's the email. It came through. So it came from appsmithtemp@gmail.com. Your question has been answered. And it shows me my question, which I think is really useful. Like when you fill out a form online and you get a reply back and it says, yeah, we think that's a great idea. We accept. It's like, oh, what was it? Like I submitted the form. What's the history? So I love it that you've included what was written and then you've got the answer. So that's awesome. So it just came through. Everyone can check the date. It's 11:20 my time. So in the evening. So it has actually come through now. This is not staged. This is correct.
Oh yeah. All right. So that works fine. And we're actually done building the application. So we can go ahead to give this a title. And so we can say this is the comments dashboard, for example, and set this to heading 1. All right, we're done. So let's, okay, so that's, I actually don't want to copy paste another widget. So let's put all of this in a container and deploy the app.
That was quick.
And we're done. So we are able to select
Nice.
a comment, view all of the information, and also leave an answer to the comment. I think I did not bind the default answer here because there should be a default answer from the table 1 dot selected row dot answer, right? So deploying this should fix the small glitch there. Okay, yeah, and here we are able to see the previous answer left for the user's question or comments. So that's this is basically all we have in the application right now.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I mean, you built that really fast. You've got validation, you've got data integration. It's secure. I think that's really awesome. We do actually have a question from S asking, how can they customize the CSS? I mean, you did show us at the beginning another dashboard that was super customized. Did you do that with CSS? Like, how did you achieve that?
Okay, so right now you're able to style your apps a bit. For example, I have this text box highlighted and I can go do things like change the colors, change the font, like I did for the title right here, make it italicized and all of that stuff. So you can actually put all of this together to have a really nice styled application. But we would be releasing a theming feature in the coming weeks that makes it easy for you to make your app totally customized without having to edit each individual widget. So all you need to do is select a color theme on the picker, select a font, and your entire application would be customized automatically. So that's something we're working on, and it is going to be released in the coming weeks.
I think that that sounds really awesome and interesting, and people want to get involved in that. It is open source. They have over 15,000 stars on GitHub, which I think is just pretty awesome. I should have mentioned that earlier on as well. So it's definitely a popular project. So I've got the GitHub. Oh, you already brought it up. Okay, you beat me to it. So this is the GitHub already, and so over 1,000 forks, super interesting. So I'm quite keen to let us know in the chat, everyone, what do you think of the app that we just built, for one, and let us know what you think of low code, and do you want to get involved in their open source project as well? And just I have a fourth question. I have lots of questions for you all. Fourth question, and Confidence, correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm really keen to do something with this in the future. If everyone watching, you think it's useful, and if Confidence is keen to do it. But Confidence, when you talked about yourself a bit of the intro, you gave it nice and short and sweet so we could get into building the app, because we did it in under an hour and a half, which is epic. So, well done for that. I think it's really hard to keep to the time, especially with me bringing questions, interrupting, and so forth. But if I understand correctly, you're a student. So you're working as a developer advocate, but you're a student. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I think that is amazing. So if any of you want to hear more about that story, let us know. And maybe Confidence in Me and Rishab, who also works with Confidence, maybe we can record a discussion around that, a video together on how it's possible to become a DevRel as a student. I think that's just amazing. It's super inspirational for so many people. So yeah, Confidence, well done for studying and working, and well done for doing such awesome content. I have been dropping your YouTube channel in the chat. So here it is again. I'm bringing it up on screen. Everyone do go follow Confidence on YouTube, and Twitter link in the description below. And if you want to learn more about the awesome content that Confidence creates.
Sure, thanks. That would be a great idea. But you all should go check out the Appsmith application we built. I think I can also make this public just in case you want to take a look at the login form and the dashboard. But this part of the application is not to be made public because this is the actual dashboard. So you would only want staffs to be able to access this. But for the sake of today's demo, I'm just going to make it public. So let's copy paste it. I'm going to put this in the chat right now so that you can go take a look at it.
Let me share these links as well. Okay. So the first one you shared is the comments page, or was a login page, right?
The first is the form page. Then the second is the dashboard, the admin dashboard page. That both has the login and dashboard page together.
Got you. Okay. Perfect. What questions do people have? I mean, that was just an awesome live stream. Thank you so much, Confidence. People saying awesome, superb. Thank you everyone for your support. It's really, really helpful. But we're here to answer any questions. And Confidence, what else would you like to cover as well? We're waiting for those questions to come in. Anything else you'd like to cover?
Okay, so while we wait for the questions to come in, since developers really love being able to back up their work with Git, and GitHub is a fantastic option, probably I can do a quick demo of the Git sync feature we have right now. So here I'm back in the dashboard. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, so we see comments dashboard selected.
All right, cool. So to connect it to a GitHub repo, all you need to do is go to the dashboard where you have the app built. Make sure you're in the editor mode, which is what is shown right now. And you have this option to connect to Git. So all you need to do is copy paste your Git repo, and this generates a key that allows you to push all of your changes to Git and also import applications from Git to a different instance, for example. So this is something I want you guys to go check out. And I think it's going to make your work easy because now you'd always have backups of applications as you build them.
Yeah, which is super, super important. And then the other great thing that people can do is if you've got it on GitHub, then you can use the issue system, the project board, and you can manage kind of the tasks that you want to build in Appsmith, but you can still manage the tasks in GitHub, which I think is epic. So that's really good. I've shared the Appsmith GitHub repo link in the chat as well. Oh, cool. Don't forget to go start the project, get involved in the project. It's open source. I love that. So while we're waiting for more questions to come in, I have some questions, Confidence, if that's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So I love it that Appsmith is open source. Can you tell us a bit more about the people involved? So the project's obviously having features coming out really fast. It's got loads of stars and forks, so it's obviously quite popular. How many engineers do you have, roughly speaking, on the project? Like building the features, managing the open source side of things?
So we have less than 100 people working on this really awesome open source project, and it's quite glad to see that such a few number of people are able to work on something so important. So something that has been top of mind for us is to keep the product developer focused, because we're building for developers. So we want them to feel at home whenever they come to using low-code products, so that whatever tools or whatever workflows they are used to while building on probably native IDEs, such as the keyboard navigation, being able to use Git, being able to write full-page JavaScript. So all of these features that developers love and expect, we actually want to also build them into the product so that they feel at home whenever they start using Appsmith. And it just makes for a better development experience because they do not have to learn how to use Appsmith. Appsmith comes naturally because it's in their workflow already.
Yeah, that's very true. I think that's good to have that focus. I'm just bringing up the GitHub repo from my screen up on the screen now as well. Confidence, big shout out to you for all the great content that you create and working on this great project as well. Almost 10,000 commits as well on this project. We can see 141 tags. It looks great. Everyone do get involved, and you get to geek out with Confidence
Sure.
on this project as well. So do have a look and have a play with the app. Build some
Sure.
tools. Let us know what you build. If you build something, tag us on. You take a screenshot and then share a link and tag us on Twitter. Oh, I like it that you've got a DigitalOcean deployment version. I'll have to have a play at with that as well. So yeah, that's really, really awesome.
Sure. In case you have any questions about building, or if you have feedback for us on the product, I'll be leaving a link to our Discord channel so that you can come join our Discord channel and share any feedback or questions you have while using the product. So please do join us on Discord and let's continue the conversation there.
Just shared that. So in the chat, there is the Appsmith Discord. Do go check it out. And yeah, geek out with Confidence. I mean, that sounds like great fun. It's always good. Yeah, let me know if you would love to hear Confidence's story on how he got a job as a student, as a DevRel, which I think is amazing because I think DevRel is such an exciting role to be able to geek out, collaborate with people, open source. It's like win-win-win all round.
Sure. I'd love to do that with you.
Sounds good. Well, we'll organize something. Confidence, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time out, showing us this amazing platform and building the app. I think it was super interesting. Like I said, I got lots of ideas. Actually, one question I have, which is a very obscure question, and it's more focused on me probably, because
Okay.
I do think I travel a lot as a digital nomad. Is it possible for me to run Appsmith locally, say on a Docker container, and then I can do it offline at the airport on the plane, and then when I've got internet connection, I can do the GitHub export and then deploy it to your cloud version?
Sure. That's possible. So you can actually run Appsmith locally with Docker, connect to Git, then sync your changes back to a cloud version or your private cloud Appsmith instance. That also works fine.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm traveling in a week, so I know what I'm doing before then. I want to have a local version working, so I can play with it offline, and I can have my Mongo locally as well as another Docker instance, and I can connect it and try it all out. So yeah, that sounds great. Okay, I think that's all the questions. Everyone, don't forget, links in the description below. Give this video a thumbs up, and yes. If you want to take a screenshot, tag us on socials. We'll appreciate that, and we'll give you a like and a comment and a retweet. It's always great to connect with you all. Confidence, anything else you would like to add at the end?
So I'll encourage everyone to go check out Appsmith and build really cool applications. So let me know whatever you build. Tag me on Discord. Yes. I'll be there to chat with you.
Sounds good. Okay, I'm going to bring up the countdown timer. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We'll geek out soon. Confidence, if you can stay on for a few more minutes, I'll just say thank you to you privately afterwards as well.
All right.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye. Yeah, bye.